Okay, so I'll better start by saying hello, and here we are with another interview. Felicity and myself, very, very delighted to be up on a Monday morning, first thing.
Bank holiday.
So, yeah, it's a
Dedication.
bank holiday here. Commitment. But yeah, so Thomas, it's just wonderful that you've been able to join us. Thank you very much. And I don't think we'd fly across to Denmark to do this. So, we're taking advantage of the virtual nature of things and the flip, or whatever they call it. But yeah, so would you like to say who you are a minute and your connection with network learning as it is now?
Yes, sure. My name is Thomas Ryberg, and I'm a professor in the Department of Planning at Aalborg University. And I've been working with network learning for many years, and I'm also a co-chair of the conference together with Martin Delat. So I have quite a role in the conference, so to say. And particularly my research is within PBL and digital learning, it's called. But yeah, that's network learning.
So you don't get to call it network learning.
No, it's the positions are just put up and others choose the wording of them. So yeah.
We need to get a chair somewhere in the world in network learning, don't we?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, two and even.
Yeah, several. Yeah, a whole family. So you said many years. Where did your involvement with network learning start, do you think, in the midst of time?
Well, I know quite specifically because that was in 2004. The first, I think that was in Lancaster, I believe it
Yeah, it would have
was,
been
and
either
I
Lancaster or
was.
Sheffield back then.
Yeah, I think it was Lancaster. I simply can't remember. I was a research assistant or PhD student at the time, and I was part of the project Equal, and Vivian Hudson was also part of that. Lone Dirk Holmfeldt, who was my professor, and I was working in a little bit in the project as well. And it was decided that we should do a symposium and several presentations to disseminate the project basically during the 2004 conference. And I met so many interesting people. I particularly actually remember talking to you, Mike, and I was very surprised because he said, "Oh, I was from Aalborg University." He said, "Oh, Aalborg University. Oh, you have a PBL model." And I was so surprised that anybody even heard of Aalborg University. So that was really nice, and it was just a lot of interesting and wonderful people, and the project was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an important project actually. Some good work came out of that, I know. But yeah, so PBL only university, and yeah, so it's a really interesting approach that you have in Aalborg, I'm sure. And yeah, I've got both the books now. The second one's a bit more developed, I think, but the core idea is fantastic. Yeah. So if we just flip back then to network learning, and so you've mentioned a couple of things about it, just the sheer richness, I guess, of the event. Is that what sort of, or what was it that sort of kept you going? Because a lot of people might come for a year and then sort of fall off and.
Yeah, never return. Yeah, exactly. I think it. I think the coming in together with a group like the participants in the Equal project obviously helped. I mean, I felt sort of a part of a community coming into the conference, but I also felt it was a very welcoming conference and really interesting. I really loved the sort of people who came there, the thoughts that were expressed, which were not about technology per se, but quaint thoughts on pedagogy, critical perspectives, something that was completely not related in a way to technology. And that fascinated me. And I met so many interesting people with interesting thoughts. Christopher Jones was talking about networks at the time, and we became really fond of that, and also made a symposium for the next network learning conference in 2006. And so I just really, it just clicked, you could say, and I became fascinated with the work that was done within the field and the people there who were very welcoming and nice, and it felt like a good community.
That's interesting because the walls of the Network Learning Conference, if you like, in terms of the barriers to participation, I've heard it said that they're actually quite rigid in as much as, you know, it has to be about network learning, and in a sense there is a bit of a hostility there that sometimes gets perceived, but actually if you can get through that, I think, yeah, from my experience, the conference is extremely diverse, actually. So
Yeah,
we've been, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, to me, it feels welcoming, but of course, that's also speaking from my own position as a coach here and a long-term
say that.
participant. So, I mean, I've been to every conference since 2004, so I know people and blah blah blah. So it's easy to say it's welcoming because to me it obviously is. And I think there's also, I mean, of course, there are walls. It has to be about network learning. I think it does need to be, but it might be difficult for people to see what is network learning actually. What do you mean? Is it different just from online learning? And I hope, I think in choosing papers, we actually try to be pretty open usually, and invite a lot of papers in and try to say, well, maybe you should have a look at some of these papers that could sort of help you see what the field of network learning is about. And I think that has become easier because now there's a book series and there's a new redefinition paper and all sorts of work that is sort of trying to make more explicit what is network learning about, and what's kind of undercurrent of thoughts in it. But it's always difficult in a sense. It's a balance between having a definition. I think Sean Bain commented on that in the redefinition paper. Why are you obsessed with definitions all the time? Because it creates an outside and an inside, and do you want to keep people out, or at the same time you somehow need to have a grasp of what kind of bind the field or the people together. So it's a delicate balance, but and it's something that we really need to be careful in balancing all the time.
Yeah,
being open and also having sort of a sense of what do we have in common as authors within the field.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's a fantastic balance to try and to well, the track record is there. I think we've been doing that. I think Carl Mayton I think picks up on from Bernstein, languages of description are tremendously important to a field, and yeah, they do delineate, but then it's down to us then, I suppose, as the curators of that going forward, to continue to maintain that balance. Otherwise we just become obscurants and just nasty and shriveled. Because I do hear about people going to other conferences and it's just sounds like a really miserable competitive experience, but I've never had, that's a mystery to me. I've never seen that. Felicity, did you want to ask anything?
Yeah, but I was just going to say, for me, yeah, I do think that definitions are useful, but they can't be the kind of the main focus. But it is for me about purpose, and as a newcomer to the party, I do get that sense that people are there because they want to improve things for other people in the world of technology, in a world that's technologified. Then, isn't it? It's going in that direction, and it's wanting to preserve that sort of the humane side of learning, and that's really important. So for me, it's more about shared language and terminology, not yet a language that you can discuss things, and for people to have vocabulary then, so that people can actually be more likely to work together and to cross disciplines and to join thinking. That's what I find quite people are willing to, they're not sitting in silos, which can happen in many sort of conference fields. And the fact that I'm sat here today as a newcomer, I'm an example of having been embraced very well and very openly and very passionately by people who didn't know me last year, or rather the year before. The years moved on now, but I think that is I remember my experience in the round table section, and to have people like Professor Kathy Adams and Professor Nina.
Probably.
You know, talk to me as an equal and listen to me and embrace my ideas, no matter how early on or novice they were. And that's something special, and you don't get that. And it's that openness and that kind of willingness that they will embrace you and pull you in and support you and teach you and nourish you. And I think that's something that yeah, it's not, you can't really market that quite easily. It's an energy that you have to experience.
Yeah, and it's a good point, because to me also, I mean, that's more important than a definition, is really sort of having some common principles or values. To me, network learning is a lot about values in a sense. I mean, that you appreciate critical pedagogy, that you want to change the world to be a better place. It's not about applying technology per se, but doing it in different kinds of ways, giving the learners more agency, freedom, treating them as equals. It's a different kind of, I think it's the underlying, in a sense, that's more than a definition per se that is important, and that what is the spirit, in a sense, to me for around the conference.
So we probably should talk about node events and not. I mean, I get the sense that this could drift a little bit, because it's tremendously enjoyable having this kind of conversation. But we probably should talk a little bit about the node events, or the satellite events. So whose idea was that? Was that you or Martin?
Yes, I think it was. I mean, Martin, the co-chair, Martin Delat, and I have been discussing for a long time to have sort of in-betweens in between the main conferences. And actually, we thought about going to new places, like having something in Canada, or in Asia, Africa, even Australia, the sort of, because it's quite a Eurocentric conference in many ways, as it had its outset in the UK, and so it's very Eurocentric in a sense, and we would like to move beyond that. And so we had the idea that we would do these in between conferences to draw in an audience in Canada and so on. And I think, to be honest, we talked a lot about it, but we never really sort of had the energy to pursue it, because there's also a book series and a lot of other stuff. And then at the same time, I mean, I think you guys and Maria had some good ideas, and it seemed that this could be a way to build upon people's interest and create node events where you could sort of geek out with particular, for you, I guess it's a geeking out event about phenomenology and phenomenography and so on. And I think it's so important to have these kinds of geeking out events where you can really dive deep into an area. So the idea was really to support networking and community activities, and then let people do something that would be, of course, valuable to network learning, but also valuable in its own right. So that's really the idea of doing this sort of node events, and it is something that we're going to keep on doing, and we'll invite people to do in the years to come. And I think it's a good idea to invite in and create sub-communities, attract new interest, and let areas grow that are particularly interesting.
I think so. And you know, for example, with phenomenology, I could easily imagine that you would get the odd little paper popping along occasionally, but they might not come back. And I think if there's a sense in which, you know, that there is sort of a ready outlet for that sort of research, not saying that it has to be ours, but at least it sends a message to say that, yeah, we welcome this type of research. And I think there's plenty of places that don't, actually.
Yeah, and coming in as one was my own experience, coming in with a network already in a conference is much easier than just coming there on your own with the odd paper. And I mean, there's only a number of people you can manage to get in touch with during a conference. It's a lot of sessions and so on, and we would like to speak with everybody and invite people in, but it's difficult. And if you come there as a PhD student, you have this a bit special odd paper, and you might not get the attention that you sort of were hoping for, and then you say, well, that's not where I'm coming. But coming in with a network of people some, and you can develop your thoughts, I think that's valuable. So I hope that's also what the what the Node events will support.
I think that's right, and what I wanted to make the connection there with was the idea that about the values of network learning, and there must have been quite a bit of nervousness with you and Martin in terms of setting out on this, and sort of there's almost like that if the important thing about network learning is the values, then you sort of need to make sure that those are going to be sustained and maintained as you farm out the franchise sort of thing. But hopefully we're doing that, and I think Maria is doing that. So I do hope that that it will actually, as you say, going forward, that there will be strengthening, more diverse, strengthening node events, and perhaps in other far reaches of the planet as well, far from us anyway. It'd be great to get.
To be fair, though, we have had the benefit of, Professor Nina and obviously yourselves, and I think, and Kathy. So I think that kind of connection, isn't it? It's not, you're not just, throwing out the anchor and sort of saying, just do something. There is that type relationship which we hope is maintained and strengthened over time, because obviously you don't want sort of the offshoots to sort of become too disparate. But so for me, I suppose the next step, isn't it, is that sort of once we've sort of delivered on our event, and hopefully we've kind of conjoined back to the mothership, I call it. That's really for us the sort of litmus test, isn't it, to see those papers coming back at you then through symposiums, and that sort of bond then sort of tightening. So there is expectation and kind of connection on both sides, isn't it? So it's an ongoing model. So I hope we've set a good bar, but I know that it's an interesting one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that kind of folds together for a tighter relationship, even in the longer term.
Yeah, and I would say we have hope more than we have that we are expecting things, to be honest, because I mean, to us it is a way of also providing people with some freedom without attachments, in a sense, because it's not like we say, well, we certainly expect if we co-finance this event that you will have 3 papers coming into the conference and so on. So it's our hope that it's something that can stimulate research in particular geographical areas. We could say, well, we would like to host one in Australia or Canada or something like that. Or we could say, well, maybe it seems that network learning researchers, they would like to take critical look at AI, but they don't engage much with AI researchers. So could that be something that we should sort of look into? Or I mean, there are so many ways to go about it, but really, I think both Matt and I are kind of let your children run wild and free, for as the old going say, let your children run wild and free. So that's one of my many Simpsons references. I mean, I think trying to control it too much, have expectancies of what will come back is difficult and will lead only to sort of disappointment and being unclear. And so I think it is really to let people explore an area without leashes.
Well, I quite like that adage, Mike, that I'm a child running free and you're
Yeah.
my parents. So that's great. I'll have fun with that. I really think
What are
that's.
rules for?
Yeah. It is a Homer Simpson quotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let your children run wild and free, for as the old saying goes, let your children run wild and free. That's how he says it. Yeah.
I want
Yeah,
the
we're gonna put
reference
that on
to
the
the
website
episode.
somewhere.
Okay. All right. We probably should stop, but it's been an absolute delight to talk to you this morning. Thank you so much for making the time, Thomas, and I hope this is useful to somebody else as well that wants to know a bit more about network learning and what we're doing.
Yes, and they're always welcome to contact us, Martin and myself, and to hear more about the conferences. And if they're thinking about, I'm thinking about doing a paper, but would it fit in? Then send us a mail and ask.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Well, we'll just stop recording and but before that, we'll just say goodbye and thank you very much for your time. And
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Have you had your beanie yet, Thomas?
Yes, I did. I did receive it, and I think my daughter might have run off with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to send you another one.
I can't immediately. I tried to find it here before the meeting.
Has she run off wild and free with it?
Yeah, as wild and free as you can run in these times. But
Well,
yes.
you can send us a photograph, even with your daughter wearing it. Did you see your daughter run off with it?
Actually, I'm very cautious about encouraging people to take pictures of their kids.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah.
Definitely looking forward to your photo. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'll stop recording anyway. Here we go.